Prior to Salesforce, connecting with our customers and our customers' customers was very difficult. Our inboxes were filled with different types, different channels of communication that we couldn't really sort through. And our managers were sitting on hundreds of emails from these different channels. And so not only was it the customer service that wasn't getting it, we didn't have any insight from an executive level into our customers to understand what types of things are they even asking of us. Using Salesforce and having all of our information and all of our communication in one place, the focus is more on the people and the experience in the building. If you can think of being in an office building where it's too hot, the HVAC is not working very well, and the office workers sitting at their desk, they talk to their facilities manager. Facility manager puts in a ticket that says it's too hot in this room. That comes into our console based on our workflow rules. It gets routed, it gets assigned a priority, and then it gets dispatched to our maintenance tech to go take care of. So now it's about the people and building those communities within the buildings and automating some of those tasks, automating email responses, automating knowledge. When somebody calls in, we're able to automatically respond to them with certain questions that we get asked over and over again. With Salesforce, we're able to scale. I think that's what all businesses are looking to do by opening up the information, making the information visible to the entire organization, and it's allowed us to redirect our focus, day to day and week to week, and be able to change and shift as our customers are shifting. It's helped us build better relationship with our customer, which is in turn allow them to have more confidence and trust in us. So they've come to us and asked, can we hire you to do these additional buildings?
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Perocho and I am a Product Marketing Manager here at Salesforce for Community Cloud, and I'd like to welcome you to today's broadcast, How a Self-Service Community Can Transform Your Business. I'm fortunate enough to be joined here with Jacob Johnson, CEO of the PREM Group, and also star of that video that you just watched. Now before we get started, I'd like to point out a few ways that you can interact with us during today's broadcast. Now if you look up in the left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a questions button. Please feel free to hit that button and ask us questions at any time during this webinar. I promise we will get to as many questions as we possibly can toward the end. Also up in the top left-hand corner, you'll see a Rate This button. Now it is important for us to be continuously delivered only the best content to help you with your purchasing decisions. So please rate this webinar to ensure that we are delivering world-class content. And as always, I'd like to remind you of our safe harbor statement. Please make your purchasing decisions based on technology available, not on technology that may or may not be available in the future. Now, let's talk about the customer experience. Every time that you have touched your customers, whether it's in sales, marketing, or service, is absolutely critical to increasing or decreasing both customer retention and satisfaction. Unfortunately, service is often an overlooked part of the entire customer journey. And that's unfortunate because the customer experience is the #1 decision maker on how customers are making their purchasing decisions. You heard that right. Customer experience has overtaken price and product as a key brand differentiator in today's marketplace. So it is incumbent that all aspects of your customer's journey is held to the highest standards. Now, what does that mean for service? Well, 72% of customers would rather use your website than call in to find an answer. Now, I personally have just called my bank the other night, and I remember going through that automated voice line. Press 1 for your credit card, press 2 for your savings account, press 3 for your checking account. And by the end, I am just pounding away at 0, just desperately trying to get to a service agent because I have this sort of complicated question that I just couldn't find on their website. And you know what? Even when I get to that service agent, I have to go through this entire authentication process. They have to ask me these challenge questions. They have to ask me for my PIN number. And then finally, we could get to my question. And, sometimes they might have to even transfer me. And here I go all over again, going through that automated voicemail, trying to get to another service agent that could possibly answer my question. Now, this isn't what I consider great customer service. This is why not only millennials, but everyone would rather find their answers online than going through talking to an agent today. What it takes is a true vision, a true business innovator to figure out how to take this knowledge and put it online. And luckily, today we are joined with Mr. Jacob Johnson, the CEO of PREM Group, who will talk a little bit more about his Salesforce journey and how he used Salesforce to revolutionize his business. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jacob. So Jacob, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well today, Jason. Thanks.
Hey, Jacob. Thanks for joining us. So I was wondering, could you give us all a little bit of background on exactly who the PREM Group is?
Yeah. PREM Group is a property management company in the Pacific Northwest. We manage commercial and residential properties, mostly vertical high-rise, condominiums, and office and retail buildings.
Awesome. And I know we were talking a little bit earlier, and you mentioned to me that PREM Group is a customer-driven company. And I'd like to think everybody out there would like to think that they're a customer-driven company. So what does that mean in context to your business?
Yeah, so if you can think of property management and real estate, the traditional mindset would say that, it's all about the bricks and mortar. It's all about the building and the facility. But in today's world, it's all about the user's experience within that building. So how are residents, how are tenants, how are the customers of the businesses we manage, how are they interacting with the real estate? What is their experience when they walk into an office building? What is their experience when they walk into a shopping center or their condominium building? That's really where our business is transformed and our industry is transforming. So the actual management of the bricks and mortars and the physical aspect is really transformed into managing customers' experience within the building. So with that, we had to really change, how we manage real estate. And that became more about managing our customers' interactions and communication than it did about making sure that the windows were clean and the sidewalks were clean. Now, those things are important to the experience, but that, 20 years ago, that was most important. Because it was harder to communicate with your management company. When you didn't have the internet, you didn't have email, you didn't have text and cell phones for that immediate contact. Now they can connect with us. People feel like they want to connect with us immediately. So we had to transform ourselves into being able to manage all of those touch points in that communication.
And you mentioned that you had to transform yourselves. What was the customer experience like before you implemented Salesforce?
Before Salesforce, it was like most traditional businesses. We had gone from, a real paper-intensive telephone, fax machine, and, a little bit of email here and there. And, as technology and as, the world has grown to be more connected, we've had to implement more technology, more ways for people to contact us and connect with us. So, we were using, your typical Outlook, Exchange, Word, Excel, a lot of Excel files, a lot of Outlook and Microsoft Exchange emails, but we were very siloed in what we were doing. It was hard to share information internally. Not only was it hard to share internally, but it was hard to find the correct documents and the correct information that we wanted to share externally to our customers. So we didn't have, and me as a business owner, I didn't have great visibility into how we were communicating, what we were communicating to our customers as the business owner. So, we really struggled with that. And like most companies, we were duplicating efforts. We were very inefficient with how we were handling emails and inbound phone calls and all of our customer touch points. So we found that we needed to have more visibility into not only our business, but we also needed to have more visibility into what our customers were expecting from us. and that's really where we're seeing the transformation is the things that were being asked of us 10 or 15 years ago are not the same things that are being asked of us today. And we just weren't up to date on that. We did not know that because we didn't have the insights into being able to analyze our data and our information. So that's how we had to transform.
Thanks. So can you talk to me a little bit about your Salesforce journey, like what attracted you to Salesforce and how you sort of went about standing up your community?
Yeah, so really when we started this journey, I was looking to kind of go somewhere where we could go to one platform. I really wanted something that was very 360, had a very 360 view of our customers and of our business. I didn't want that disconnected platforms that were out there that we were working on currently. I wanted all of our customer data in one place, that I can see all of our billing data, where all of our files, our knowledge base. I wanted that all to be in one place. And we went out and tried to find something that could do that. And when we came across Salesforce, that seemed to be the best platform for us, not only because of its interconnectivity, but also because of the way the company was growing and the direction it was heading when we started. So, we really started out kind of small going, but we had great aspirations for what we thought Salesforce could do. And, we're really we think we're hitting the tip of the iceberg with, our implementation of Salesforce. And I think we're ahead of the game. But I still think that there's a long way to go for us. So, just recently we've purchased the Wave Analytics. We're using the Service Cloud and the Community Cloud to connect with our customers. And that's been a very big, it's had much value add for us from our customers' experience. So we're getting much more collaboration. We're getting much more, I would say, valuable communication so that we're understanding what's important to our customers because the barriers that exist for service providers and customers to interact, they're being eliminated with the community.
And obviously, PREM Group is a very customer-driven company, and the customer experience is paramount to your company's success. So could you talk to me a little bit about how your community transformed your customer engagement?
Yeah. As you can imagine, we were receiving, hundreds and hundreds of emails a day, not only from customers, but also internally, as we're circulating emails between each other, trying to communicate and interact with each other about how we're servicing the customer. We're getting in, hundreds of phone calls from customers without the insights that we talked about before. We didn't have insights to be able to consolidate that data and really analyze, what and how and who should be answering these questions. And as we jumped into Salesforce and we turned our emails into cases and our phone messages and phone things into cases, we really began to see the duplication and effort that we were doing internally. And also what it seemed to do for us is make us much more concise and much more focused on one-touch response to our customers. And that just reduced the amount of inbound traffic by almost 50%.
Excellent. And I know we were talking about earlier, all of a sudden decided to put all the announcements in the community rather than send mass emails out. So was that a hard decision for you just to say, you know what, I'm not dealing with emails anymore?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a hard decision for me, probably as a business owner, but it's hard for our staff, our team members. If you can imagine sitting out there and, the owner of your company comes and says, hey, we're getting rid of email as you know it. It's a scary proposition for people. So, that hurdle had to be addressed. But then once we saw the benefits of, I don't have to manage mass email lists. I don't have to manage the opt-in, opt-out. I don't have to manage all of the bounce-back emails that come from that. Our team then started to see the efficiencies from that.
What about your customers? I mean, surely some of them might have actually liked those mass emails. How did you get them engaged into the group and receiving those messages?
Yeah, I mean, even getting user adoption, once you change the way something's coming to them, some customers saw that as very scary, like, oh, where's my attachment? Why am I going to a link? But once they got into the community, so we post to our chatter group for notices. It sends out basically a mass email to everybody that's in that group with a little brief summary of the information we want, the highlights of the information, and then it gives a click for more, which takes them into the community. What happens when they get into the community is now they're part of the conversation. So now people are responding to that notice. They're having conversations about the notice. They're seeing what other people are asking, and they're getting some of their questions answered before they even have to address it with us.
And I know another cool thing that we talked about a little bit earlier was about the delivery service that you provide through the community. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so part of what we're doing is trying to streamline or make the customer's experience in our buildings much more efficient, much more value add. So, some of the things that we try to do is for deliveries, packages as they come into the front desk. There's a tracking mechanism until they get to the building, but nothing once it gets to the front desk, right? Except for maybe a phone call from your concierge or your security guard. So we really tried to step that game up and put a tracking system in. So once it gets to the desk, we notify, we scan it into Salesforce. It then notifies the customer that there's packages waiting for them, tells them what kind of packages they are. And then there's a sign in, sign out, so that we have tracking history of who we deliver that package to, who picked up that package and when. That's been very helpful for us, not only from just a security standpoint, not losing things, but also in, the customers feeling like we're taking care of them. And that same feel and that same idea goes into, our cases and work orders, so when somebody has an issue or a problem and submitting a work order or a case or a request from us, we want people to be able to track that case or that work order from the time that they started it through completion, and being able to see the steps and the response and the communication that we're either having with a vendor or internally. So we've become a much more transparent company, which I think, again, to team members is kind of scary. And with that transparency evolution, I think has really kind of liberated us in the way we do business. Is we started out thinking we had to restrict access or monitor and the chatter groups and the chatter communication. But we finally just said, you know what? Why are we just not letting our customer into everything that we're doing? If we're doing it correctly and we're working hard for them, they're going to see that, and they should be able to see that. And I think that develops a little bit of empathy from the customer to us as well. So.
Well, that's amazing. So you opened up chatter to your residents. I know we talked a little bit earlier as well about building an online community and an offline community. Can you tell me how Salesforce has allowed you to accomplish that goal?
Yeah. So we've had, kind of just to give you an example, we had a building that it was a condominium building, and it's got 200 plus units in it, and we had trouble just filling a board, getting people to volunteer their time and apply to join the board. And we had one board member, it was a professional, and we introduced the community, and we kind of gave them some training, but not a ton, and said, here's what we think could happen. And within the first 6 months of having the community, he'd already filled a social committee and a security committee. And it was really interesting for all of us to see that you know, in this day and age, people are much more likely and I think motivated to communicate via electronically than they are almost person to person. It's hard to ask for something from your neighbor when you're face to face, but if you're able to do it kind of in a forum, in an electronic forum, I think it's less invasive for people, and they're more comfortable talking about it. So not only did they fill these committees, they're getting more interaction internally. They've also had 2 different holiday parties where they've sold out in people's units and basically just said, hey, we're going to have a cocktail hour or we're going to have a little social gathering, and they're getting 25 to 50 people. And that was unheard of 6 months ago. And I attribute that 100% to the community that was built. Online community that's now developing the offline community.
This is absolutely just fantastic. I'm blown away by what you're doing with your community. And the craziest part is we've been talking about all this service and customer engagement, and we actually haven't even gotten into the pure definition of what it means to self-serve people in your community, to provide exemplary service when it comes to things in your case like maintenance department requests. So now let's sort of dive into that aspect of your community. Can you run me through exactly how your community services your customers?
Yeah. So, with our community, we try to extend, basically our community is an extension of our internal organization. Again, when I said we became very transparent, we really just tried to extend what we're doing here to our customers. So allowing them to work from the same data set that we are. So if you have an issue in your building that, lights out or it's too hot or the carpet's torn or something to that effect, we have our service department. We're able to dispatch. So we get those cases in, we get those service requests in. We're able to communicate on that service request, real time through chatter, app mentions, with our service technicians in the field. We're able to see we're using some geotech or some geohashing to see where they're at, to be able to dispatch the right person, be able to communicate on this case, as well as have the customer be able to see that. Really, we tried to take a page out of Domino's Pizza, and their kind of delivery app and how they were doing things. We said, if somebody can track a pizza from the time it goes in the oven until the time it's delivered and have updates on it, I think somebody's going to want that same type of communication, that same kind of experience when they know somebody's actually going to come into their home and do some work. So that was something that we said, okay, Salesforce, can we do this? And it was very, it didn't change our organization, to be able to extend that out. It really just went back to becoming much more transparent as a company. And by doing that, we were able to manage our inventory better from our maintenance and our tools, our equipment. We're able to bill and invoice customers, collect from customers much quicker, which we saw an increase in profitability of close to 15%. As we started implementing this more and more in our service department.
That's absolutely amazing. So how did you gain these insights in order to transform your back-end processes, your maintenance department? Was that all just located in the lighting service console?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Just having that visibility and the information for us to look at, it was very clear. We didn't have to do a lot of reporting or analyzing to see where we had to make adjustments and things we had to do. So we did set up dashboards. We have set up reporting. We're now going into the next phase of that to now where we have great data. We know the things we should be doing. What's the next step? What are the things we don't know? And that's part of this wave analytics and introducing that here in the second quarter of 2016. So really trying to take advantage of the information we have now and just do a better job with it.
And I'm curious, what kind of dashboards did you set up that gave you these insights in order to transform your processes?
Really, it stemmed around our case management. You know, how long was it taking us to respond? How long was it taking us to actually close out cases? How much communication was going on within a certain case? So if you had an issue, how much communication do we have to do internally in order to solve that case? So we were really just trying to find where are the bottlenecks in our process, and how do we solve those?
Mm-hmm. So Jacob, it sounds like you have an amazing customer experience as a result of your community cloud implementation. You're providing superior service with your service cloud implementation. You've got all this going for you, and now you're ready to expand your business. How does Salesforce allow you to grow your business through acquisitions, as you mentioned a little bit earlier?
Yeah, I mean, we just acquired another management company this past summer, and you know, this company is in a similar situation that we were in, with needing to transform, you know, from a brick and mortar management, paper intensive, siloed information. They needed to transform, and it was a good opportunity for us. So what Salesforce allows us to do in the community cloud was be able to not only cost effectively onboard the new staff, but also efficiently onboard the new properties into the system. So that is I think a tremendous value add for us, that, you know, by doing this the first time in the Service Cloud, you know, we're going to look to grow through acquisition over the next year because of that. I think we'll see much more efficiency, much more economies of scale as we grow, and Salesforce just allows you to scale, and that's, you know, as a business owner, and you talk about it a lot, being able to scale, but you can't build for scale when you're small. That's just kind of a waste. You know, go get business, and we can scale later. But kind of by happenstance or by default, because we're using Salesforce, we're able to scale. We didn't have to really focus on trying to build that scale. It was just already built in for us.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like that last acquisition went swimmingly. How did that first acquisition go pre-Salesforce?
Pre-Salesforce didn't go so well. You know, it was a struggle because the same issues happened. We took on a new company, but we didn't have the tools in place to have visibility into that company, so we didn't even know. You know, so let's just think we're managing our business, and we're struggling to have insight into how we're doing and what communication we're having. Now take on another business that you really aren't involved with day to day, and try to find out information about the customer's experience there. It was almost impossible, and it failed for us. You know, we lost 75% of that business over a matter of 2 years. Just because we weren't able to kind of go in and see the connectivity from, you know, here's how we do it, here's how you do it, here's why it's a benefit for you to have this merger. And we weren't able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you just recently moved offices. How did that move go?
Yeah, the move was great. So, you know, our staff is getting very, very used to kind of disruption. I think it's kind of a useful tool these days, is to kind of disrupt the staff and say, you know, if you have to move locations tomorrow, can you still service your customers? And by doing that, you know, previously it made this move very, very seamless. So if you can imagine, we don't have servers, we don't have, you know, telephone servers, we don't have email exchange servers or document servers. Everything's in the cloud, everything's in Salesforce. So when we move into a new office, all we really need to do is get internet service. And, you know, short of that, everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone with hotspot. So you can kind of sit at a desk, connect, log into Salesforce, and operate 95% of what we need to do. So that was, I mean, it reduced our moving costs significantly from having to wire up the building, connect everything with all kinds of Cat5 and running, wires to the right place for space layout. So we're able to kind of set up and move around in a new space in a matter of 30 days.
Thanks, Jacob. So Salesforce is not only able to help you transition easily to new office space because everything is kept in the cloud, it was able to help your business grow with easily onboarding your new acquisition, delivering all that information through knowledge base articles. Thank you all for that. So just to wrap everything up, I've got to ask this question. Why would you recommend Salesforce?
I recommend Salesforce because unless you're in the technology business and you're building technology that you can run your business off of, there's no reason for you to focus on that. Allow a billion-dollar company like Salesforce to evolve and grow and build the infrastructure that's going to provide us the tools to service our customers better. We need to do what we can do best. The world has turned into computers can do a lot of the things that we used to be able to do, and they can do them faster, they can do them more accurately. We need to kind of decide from a human aspect as human beings, what do we do really well? And we need to focus on that. And that's problem solving, that's building relationships, that's interacting with people. So allow Salesforce to build the technology and the tools that take care of the mundane stuff that take us away from being able to touch the customers so that we can do that better than anybody else. And that's what Salesforce allows you to do. And you get all of the other benefits of being able to scale, have the security, gain efficiencies by using it. So I'm a big proponent of it.
Thank you, Jacob. And we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Customer satisfaction here at Salesforce is our #1 priority. But before we let you go, we would like to move into a few questions and answers that have been coming in throughout this broadcast. And I'd like to start with this first question. How do you manage negative experiences using Chatter?
Yeah, that was obviously the fear when you open up Chatter to customers, and it really, we started out thinking we had to control the conversation, and what we found was our customers controlled it for us. And like anything, you've got 10%, it's the 80-20 rule, right? You got 10% that really love you. They love you too much. You got 10% that hate you and unfairly hate you. And the 80% in the middle, they're all pretty logical and pretty balanced with what's going on. And we found that 80% in the middle really balanced out the negative comments or the extremely over-the-top positive comments. So when somebody was being irrational or talking poorly either about us or someone else, the community itself self-managed and balanced that out. And those people quickly found that there was no voice for them, so they stopped having that kind of that negative reaction because nobody else was supporting what they had to say. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, when you have people supporting what they say, as a company, you need to jump in and solve the problem, because then you find out right away and very quickly where you're not servicing and doing things well.
Thanks. Sort of a two-part question here now. How long did it take you to implement Community Cloud, and did you use any outside consultants to do that?
Yeah, so we've done Community Cloud in 3 parts, and it's taken the actual implementation of Community Cloud is very quick. You could turn it on with your current org probably in less than a week and have it up and running. What takes longer is really your back end and making sure that when you open up and you become transparent using the Community Cloud, that you're able to do the things internally that you need to do to deliver quickly. And that took us, some time. That took us trial and error. And, with that, we're on basically version 3 of our community cloud. And it's been about a 18-month journey for us. And we started out, as we started out slow, we used a outside consultant. Version 2 we did internally, really with our staff. And then version 3 that we're developing now, that'll be launched second quarter, we're using an outside consultant.
Mm-hmm. We have one final question. What was the most important lesson you learned while going through this whole transformation?
Yeah, just do it. I mean, it sounds kind of funny. We're here in Portland in Nike land, saying just do it. But once you've made a decision, or once you've kind of analyzed your business and how you're doing things, and you need to make a change, don't go slow. You're going to have just as many problems going slow than you are just getting it done and going quickly. You already know you're going to make the change, so just go do it. And I think that was the thing that we've learned over this whole thing is we just have to make once we've identified a change that needs to be made or an evolution that needs to take place, then it's about it doesn't have to be perfect to get it done. You kind of just have to go and keep moving. In the way that the world works today, nothing's going to be perfect when you deliver it. And we kind of had to take that realization that, some of our customers might be a little bit unhappy with the change, but in the long run, it's going to be better for them and for new customers.
Excellent. Well, we're approaching the end of our webinar, but before everyone goes, I'd like to remind you of a few assets we have available attached to this webinar. First, please check out and download the Customer Community 101 ebook. In here, we've got anecdotal evidence as well as hard statistics about what a customer community can do for your business. Second is the Service Cloud data sheet. It'll give you all the information you could possibly want to know about Service Cloud. And finally, if you have any further questions, please contact your local sales representative. And as always, thank you, Jacob, for joining us today. Thank you to all the participants in this webinar, and thank you, our valued customers.